What's up, guys? Farooqi Bros here, back with another video. Today, we're going to be discussing all the interesting movies we've seen in April. We've seen a bunch of different genres, different things. We're going to cover it all in a bit of a roundtable format. But I want to start with the film probably most of you guys are going to be interested in, and that's the movie coming out next week. It's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So I'm going to give a quick non-spoiler review. Obviously, you can catch my review on Rotten Tomatoes, and you can see it on cinemadebate.com if you want to read the full written version. But to give you a quick rundown of what my thoughts of the film were, I was pleasantly surprised. James Gunn's obviously now taking over the DC side of things. He's directing the new Superman movie coming up. And it's safe to say, and you know on the stream itself, that I'm a little shaky on Gunn, handling my favorite superhero. But and that doubles doubly so because I was not a big fan of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and I'm not a big fan of the Suicide Squad. So I was like, I don't know how he's going to be handling it. So when I saw this movie, while far from perfect, you did see shades of what a Superman movie could be, and I think that's what I was most excited for. But to get to the movie itself, I thought it was a really earnest and heartfelt kind of conclusion to the Guardians trilogy. Clearly, this is the end of the road for this group of characters. So it's kind of like you're saying goodbye to them in a sense. You're saying you're celebrating the last trilogy, this kind of cohesive trilogy. And for some people, I'm sure it's going to be their favorite Marvel trilogy. Yet I'm not sure I would go that far, but it might be top 3 in the MCU. And I thought from performances, Rocket Raccoon's story, I mean, that was a story. Like, if you pulled that, his story, his past, everything that he's going through out of this movie, then this movie would just be a regular Guardians movie. But it's his character arc that really makes it into, like, in my opinion, one of the best movies in recent years. I know we're officially in Phase 5 now, but if I was going to lump it in Phase 4, I would say it's a top 2 Phase 4 movie. So that's where I'm kind of standing on it. Zian, what about you? What did you make of Guardians 3?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all of your sentiment. I think it was a very surprising outing from James Gunn. Like you said, some of his previous movies we're not necessarily the biggest fans of, especially the Suicide Squad or Guardians 2. Like, he has a certain style of way of doing things, and sometimes it just doesn't land for us. But this one, surprisingly, he did a very good job. I think he really wrapped it up very well. Like you said, there was a great emotional core to the movie, especially with Rocket and his past, that they really did a good job fleshing out. And the most surprising thing, I think the best thing out of this, that's the most telling thing for, his work on Superman probably in the future, is that unlike the usual typical Marvel movies where when you feel like they're going to even a shred of emotion or seriousness or sincerity, they quickly lump in a joke or a quip or some kind of dumb gag that kind of just diffuses everything so the audience doesn't have to take anything too seriously. But this time around, they really went hard with the emotion and the seriousness of what was going on in Rocket's past and things of that nature. So that was obviously very pleasantly surprising and does give hope for the future of Superman, with James Gunn obviously at the helm with writing and directing. So all in all, I think I agree with you, though it is it's a very strong start to Phase 5, especially coming off of Phase 4. I think there was a lot of hit and misses, more so misses, obviously, in totality between film and streaming. And this kind of just went back to, I guess, what Marvel is best at, or at least the height of what Marvel can be. Though not without its fault, it wasn't a perfect movie. There were some issues, mainly with I guess most people were loving Adam Warlock, where they could have handled him differently and things of that nature. So it's not perfect, but compared to a lot of the MCU projects we've gotten recently, this is definitely more top tier, especially story wise and writing wise. And I think it was just a nice full ending for this group of characters that I think everybody will be satisfied with. So I really had no issues with it. And like you, I think just from Phase 4 onwards, since that's the new era, I think this would be top 2 or 3 in my opinion. I think it's tied with Black Panther 2 in my opinion of how well it was made. And for me, I think Spider-Man was the best. So I think it's top 3 at least.
Yeah, I mean, the difference between the main disagreement I have with you, and I didn't get your final score yet, but is that I do think there were issues. There were issues in this movie. So you said you didn't have any issues with that. I did have some issues.
No. I said there were issues. I said it wasn't perfect. Yeah.
All right. But I think it's far from perfect in my opinion. I wouldn't put it in the top 5 MCU either. My reasoning is mainly, once again, James Gunn is kind of You know, the
You
nepotism.
just said your top 2 Phase 4.
I'm Phase 4, but I would have put in top 5 all time. That shows
I
how
wouldn't
much.
either.
Oh,
I
yeah,
never
oh,
said I
that's
would
the
either.
point. Oh, yeah, that's the point
I'm
making.
saying
Like,
it's top 3 between Phase 4. Yeah.
yeah, and you because I completely forgot about Black Panther. For me, it'd be top 3, also Phase 4, not top 2, because I thought Black Panther was better. But my overall point for this movie is like the main criticism is the second act, which kind of felt like an SNL skit at times. Let's call it what it is. I don't get into spoilers, but it gets into SNL territory, and then the continued uh, demand from James Gunn to keep putting his family members in his family members and his friends in this movie. I know his brother Sean Gunn has been that character for a few years, so I guess it makes sense he's returning. But I just think that when you keep seeing the same character pop up across DC and Marvel, and they're roughly playing the same character again and again, they're just there. It it comes off as a bit of a nepotism thing. And I know people online are like, well, what about John Krasinski? And he's always working with Emily Blunt, right? So and I'm like, that's different because they're both equal standing in their own like right, and then they got that together, and now they're just happening working together. Where I don't think the characters that James Gunn is implementing have necessarily reached that level to be like constantly popping up as like a character. I mean, we know it. You look at our Shazam 2 review for more.
See, the thing is that I don't know if you hear a lot of noise, but my retort to that is that it is kind of annoying, but at least like these people, they're not in like major roles. They're just the side character in the movie for a short time.
Also
like, oh yeah, you're seeing them again, and it kind of like pulls you out of the movie. But at least they're not putting like such a major role in like Guardians or whatever that it's like, oh wow, of course, what are you doing? So I didn't have that much issue because of that reason, that they were just a side character for like a short moment. Though it did pull me out of the movie, I agree, but I don't really have that big issue because of that reason.
Yeah, and also he put some of his close friends in it. Like, I don't know if they were using the trailer or not. And there's some scenes like it's like we got the point. But either way, I like Rocket's story. I like where they're going with it. Samir, I know the press screening was only for us New Yorkers, so you have not seen the movie, so you can't give a full opinion on it. But does our review make you want to watch it?
It makes me want to watch it more than before because I was not looking forward to it. It just looked like another Marvel movie. But I guess it looks better. Yeah, it looks better than. I guess it sounds better than what I would have expected.
Yeah, so I guess we're all on the same page then. So let's move from this movie to another movie. What's considered probably it might just be the most controversial movie this year. So I want to go to Beau is Afraid. It's Ari Aster's divisive new movie. It potentially his most divisive movie. And that's saying something. He's coming off of films like Hereditary and Midsommar. So both controversial movies, both horror movies. This movie, less of a horror movie, more of an anxiety-filled nightmare, as I called it in my review, also available on Rotten Tomatoes and cinemadebate.com, shameless plug. But I want to get right into this movie, and because me and Zan already bloviated about the first movie, I want to get Samir to jump give his review first. What did you think about Beau is Afraid?
I think initially when the credits started rolling, there were a lot of thoughts going through my head because it was just such an insanely like an odd movie. It was just really weird. I think at first I didn't really understand it. So when the credits were rolling, initially I didn't like it too much. But after sitting on it for a few days, I think it was better than I had originally thought. I just didn't like the twist still. I don't know if we're just gonna spoil it right away. I don't know what you're saying. You're muted.
Yeah, you can go at full spoilers.
Yeah, I said full spoilers. The movie's been out, unlike Guardians, which is out next week.
The thing is, it was kind of expected since Ari Aster did the same thing with Hereditary, where he had that attic twist where it was just so weird, something you just don't want to look at. With the twist, and I thought for this movie he went a little too far. He went a little too weird with it, even though I understand that it follows the sort of theme of this movie that was going through the whole time with Beau's anxiety and his relationship to intimacy or whatever. I just think it was an odd way to wrap it up. So I think it fell apart at the end a little bit. But overall, I did like I did like the themes and what he did with Beau as a character.
Yeah, I mean, like they said at the end, there was a lone dancer who appeared to be injured. A disturbing image. But the
I was crying, and then I started crying again at the end.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, Seinfeld reference for those who don't know. But I'll jump in next with my thoughts. I mean, I will be on Samir's end where it's like there was a range of emotions, and every day I watched the movie, I had different feelings about it. I will agree with Samir on this point though. When I came out of the movie, that's the least I've liked it since then. So since I've been sitting on it each day, it's been doing better for me. So I do like it a little more now than before. I do think it's in some ways, and this is in respect to Ari Aster, because I think I prefer a director who goes out there and does something rather than someone who just makes the most commercial McDonald's, Happy Meal product, one to the next. So I'd rather prefer someone who does something, but at the same time, it is possible for a great director to drink too much of his own Kool-Aid, so like he kind of is also, you can make a case if I had to put an adjective on this, like it could be overindulgent, like it's a film that very much from the 3-hour runtime to the way he goes from scene to scene or act to act, everything is overindulgent. Maybe that is one of the themes of the movie, but I think because of it, it takes you out. So I would say the first act, in my opinion, is absolutely perfect. I absolutely love the first act of this movie, and the second act is where it felt the longest. I felt the second act, which you can, I guess, in my opinion, say it is both the parts where he is with that family and the whole play part as one very elongated second act. And the third act is when he finally confronts like the truth and his mother and things of that nature. In the first act is everything he's done at his own apartment and escaping his apartment and finally going on the journey, kind of a hero's journey. I saw someone put the hero's, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey on top, superimposed in this movie. And I thought it actually worked. And other people said this is like an Alice in Wonderland parody. And like all these things make sense to me. Like when I think about it, I'm like, I could see it. Like even from this image I just put up, like he's literally walking the yellow brick road, like he's descending into his own madness. So all these things make me like it more, but I can see it. Now, can you say that yes, all these elements are there, but Ari Aster did not execute it properly? You can say that. And I'm in the belief that he didn't do it perfectly. That's why right now my final score, and Samir, I don't know if you gave your score on it, but my score was 3.5, and I've kind of settled on that now. I went as up to 4, I went as down to 2, and now over the course of time, I've now stuck my thumbtack on 3.5, and that's what I'm giving that movie. And Samir, before we go to John, you can give your score and where did you end up on?
I originally gave it a 3.5, but then I changed it to a 4. Wow. I think it was better than it was since the first 2 acts were really good. I think just the third act really fell apart.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Zion, now, what's your opinion on this movie? And how's it been sitting since you watched it? Because all of us seem to have different opinions when we first came out and when we sitting now.
For me, it's kind of remained constant, honestly. Like I agree with one thing that right after the movie, I felt the worst about it. Whereas like, what is this garbage? But then, yeah, I kind of reflected on it a little bit. And it was, the thing is that, like you said, it does break down very easily into 3 acts. Obviously, the apartment, then the house and the play and forest or whatever, and then the end of where he's in the funeral place or his mom's house. And I think the first act, in my opinion, was the strongest. I think I enjoyed the first act the most, especially because it really showcases anxiety. Because I get that like the fear aspect of the intimacy is like one aspect of it, but like he's pretty much afraid of everything, like every possible thing. And I think the first act really showed that so well. Especially where like he puts the phone book and he loses his keys. Like from the moment where he loses his keys and his suitcase to where he runs to the store, and then everybody in the entire neighborhood is running to the building. Like all of that, I think that was the most enjoyable because it really showcased the anxiety that he was having the best. And I think it kind of started slowing down when he got to the house. I think it did get more trippier when he got to the house, especially with the scene of him looking at the security tape or whatever and forwarding and then seeing like the whole movie on security, which was trippy. I thought that was very interesting as well. So I get that it felt a little long and dragged, but overall I did not have too many issues with that act either. But I think it all just basically fell apart at the third act because the hook, the main twist, the main hook of the whole movie is that he keeps having the dream of what's in the attic and is that real? What's going on? And then finally when they do the reveal, I feel like it was so just outrageously fake and kind of like outlandish that it just pulled me away from the movie completely. And I'm like, what am I even watching? Like, what kind of writing is this? Because though it was trippy, it felt kind of grounded in like some kind of pseudo psychosis reality of the movie. But then when he got to the attic, it became so kind of fake and like unreal that I'm like, this really ruins it for me, because the twist was everything. Like the twist was supposed to be the thing that really just brings it all full circle. And it kind of, the way it was done.
What was the twist here? The twist is the mother's alive, or the twist is just the crazy part in the attic?
The twist is just the crazy part. Yeah. And I feel like that, what he goes up the attic to see what's there that he's been dreaming about, whatever. I have no problem with the idea of it. I'm just problem with the way it was done. It was done too much of a fake way that it kind of just really ruined it for me. I felt like the movie kind of just fell apart in a way for me at that point. And one other big problem I have with the movie is that they like kind of touched upon why his mom is so angry at him and hates him so much in the end, especially with like the whole jury in the courtroom scene or whatever, where they're showing the past of like the videos of him hiding from his mom in the mall, whatever, stuff like that. But I think the point where he's like in the boat and he's kind of living his life happily with his mom or whatever, happily in quotes, and then it just, the gap between that and then him as an adult in like the crackhead neighborhood that his mom obviously set up and everything, that huge gap is just still so unexplained, where you kind of force to just piece it together. But there's still not enough there to be like, why would she ruin his life this much to this extent, from the scene where he's on the boat to the scene where he's an adult in that neighborhood, where it's like they should have fleshed that out slightly more, because you got to make a huge leap between one point to the other. So all those factors, and then the twist, which I thought was kind of horrible, that kind of really brought down the movie for me, even though the first two acts I thought were very strong, especially the first act. So that brought the movie for me to a 3 out of 5, which is kind of what I'm settled at.
I mean, we can make a debate out of this. I don't know if you disagree with something Zion said, but I think I kind of disagree with us not knowing why the mom is acting this way. I feel like she always hated him. Or
it's not why, but it's like the change is so vast between him as a kid in the boat or whatever, and him as an adult. Like, how does he get there gradually? Like, what point did his life just completely get ruined? You know?
I think she was always manipulating him. Even in the boat, she was manipulating him pretty hard. Like everything she was saying to me in the boat, it was just fake niceness, or it was like she has a lot of internalized trauma from like how he was conceived, that like it will always be hatred, I think, to some degree. I don't know if Smith would agree or disagree, but I also, there are holes in the movie, but I think the mother's hatred and like when it all fell apart, if you kept that, it'd been like a 5-hour movie. Like, I don't know how you would have.
Honestly, they should have kept that. I wouldn't mind it being like at least a half an hour longer, just to flesh that out a little more, just from point A to point B. You know, just put another scene in between of him as a kid and him as an adult, just like so the journey is complete. You know, there's too much of a gap.
Do you agree with Zion or disagree with Zion?
I think the mother hating him thing was kind of obvious, since so with the twist, it was like he's afraid of intimacy or whatever, but that whole thing is built off of what his mom said. Like she weaponized the father thing, and that's like managed his whole life. That's why he's alone at whatever, at 70 or whatever. Or how old is he? I don't know. He looks older than the mom by the end.
He does
think. He looks older than the mom at the end. That's
because she has all. She had all the money. She kept herself. He was left with absolutely nothing. But let's move to let's keep discussing this movie. But I want to discuss specifically the ending, and if you think it was a satisfying conclusion. So at the end of the movie, big spoilers, is like they're in a Beau basically, and after killing his mom, he goes to a boat and sails away into a cave, and that cave leads him to a jumbo football stadium like atmosphere where he is on trial for all the crimes and quotations that he's done in his life. And a lot of those crimes are just really simple things that every child or any person would do, but taken out of context, taken out of context, it would mess up the would show him in a bad light. So I want to discuss. Smith, I'll go to you first. Was that a good ending in your opinion? Or you think that it was not a good ending?
I like the ending. I thought it was like foreshadowed by the dream, but I'm not sure now, because I don't know. You guys didn't get that, or maybe I was just imagining it. I don't know. That in the dream.
No, yeah, the ocean thing. Yeah, when we talked about, I saw that in the final dream one. Yeah,
he was looking out at the ocean from one side and then back to inside the house. So I think that foreshadowing was done really well, and I like how it ended, like the very last scene of the arena scene, with like how the credits roll. And I like that they gave him like a defense lawyer or something. I don't know if that was meant to mean something deeper. Since she's like controlling his whole life, it was kind of symbolic.
Yeah.
And then
And
he
the
died.
defense lawyer was completely drowned out, like no one was
Yeah,
listening to him.
and that other thing we didn't talk about was the therapist twist, which I thought that was good. That was
Biggest
like the
flop
one.
of 2023.
That was like the one part of the third act that I was like, okay, that's pretty good, and his acting was pretty good at the end.
He kept smiling. It was so good.
But
It's just like being, if you're in Beau's shoes, like that'd be a freaky ass thing. Like everyone who was in your life is planted there by her. It's like, oh, it's not right. And even then, he killed her kind of by mistake. I mean, no, he did choke her, but yeah. I thought the ending. I mean, it's a good allegory. I get the allegory. It just depends if you think it worked or not. The allegory was that the spectator trauma. Like how people love looking at other people suffer, and then kind of painting at the audience that you guys were basically one of the people in the crowd. You guys just watched this guy go through like the worst shit for 3 hours. And obviously we're in the theater, we can't do anything about it. Also, he's a fake character, but like it's a metaphor for the people around us every day and the people who are going through stuff, and we just walk over them. Joker had a similar metaphor where it's like, oh, you crawl over people like me every single day and you don't notice, right? And this movie's kind of saying, in the end, it's saying the same thing. Like people like Beau are in our neighborhood, they're everywhere, but we don't pay them any mind. And if anything, if they're going through something, we're just gonna watch. We're gonna take our phones out. We're gonna take pictures. I get it. That's the metaphor. That's the allegory. It's well written, but is it well executed on screen? Not everything that works on paper works on screen. So I think the ending did work overall. I like Samir. I agree with the touch of leaving the boat capsized and letting the credits roll. And then people who sat there were basically just doing exactly what he's saying. Like, you guys still watching this? Like, what are you waiting for? The guy just drowned. Now he's watching a dead body exploding, right? So, again, major spoilers for the movie. I'm going to spoil the whole movie if you haven't seen it yet. But so that's kind of where I sound the ending of the movie. Zion, did you like the ending of the movie? Yana, you're the least on board with it as we are. I mean, I'm in the middle. Samir liked it more. You liked the least. But what did you think about the ending? Like, did it work?
I think the final whole stadium scene was fine. I think it was a good, like, full circle back where they did flesh out a lot of stuff. Like a lot of problems I did have with like why she would, like, a little more fleshing out of why she hates him so much, aside from like the dad stuff, aside from all that stuff. So I like that they added a lot of that parts and stuff like that. So it kind of like Beau and the audience himself can both see the rationale behind it. And I thought it was all good and well, and I didn't have any really big issues with it. I like to wonder, like, was he already dead when that happened? Like, or was he just imagining things around him and the boat was just going to explode? Did he actually die then, or was he already dead and imagining this? Like, I don't know. When did the reality stop and like there's
a stadium in the cave, so I think
the delusion start? You know?
Yeah,
I know, but I mean, like, was he alive imagining this stuff, or did he already die? You know? Like,
no, I think he died either by suicide or just the boat like just exploded on him. And if the boat exploded, then I guess from a theming perspective, this is the first time thinking about it. From a theming perspective, just like, oh, for a guy where nothing works out, here's one last thing where it didn't work out. Even when he got on the boat to live, that didn't work out either. Like, that's one way. And the suicide way, which is only captivated by the way he's staring at the boat, like his face goes completely blank. And I'm gonna assume that everything around him is fake, but everything Beau is doing in that scene is real. So if he's looking around, he's talking, he probably is screaming into the void. But I mean, when he looks at the boat and he sees it catching fire, he goes from, remember, this is Beau is afraid. He's afraid the entire movie. At the end, he's not afraid anymore. He's either accepting it or he's like, whatever. He's been completely defeated by what life has given him. So it depends how you see it. I don't know if some of you see it differently, but like, do you think it's a suicide or he just died and he accepted his death? Either way, the theme is the end is the same, that this is a guy who's, where nothing works out, like the guy down on his luck in many ways. But yeah.
I feel like it might be the suicide thing just because the thing about there being an audience and the watching thing, it kind of calls back to that scene in the first act where everyone's watching that guy on the building. He's about to jump and they're recording him, they're making fun of him. But that scene ends, you don't even know what happens to the guy, really. I mean, it cuts to a dead body, but that's like a different dead body in front of his house.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's meant to be like, you just have to assume what happens, and it's a likely suicide.
No, there's a lot of craft. Like even the building, every little piece of graffiti, everything that it says, everything that's being shown, well, graphic or not, it's all just like part of the core theme of the movie. You know, like in the beginning, I was laughing. I'm like, what's going on here? But then it's like, wait a minute, this is all like intricately placed. And then you think even further, like, did the mom put that on purpose? And like, who knows? So like, who knows how much of it was controlled by her? You know, down to the exact nitty gritties of it, because she does seem absolutely psychotic. But Steve, I mean, she is. But so that's so. Sam, did you give her a score or not?
Yeah, I gave 3 out of 5.
And then Samir gave 4. There's a where we just hit the 3 points of the spectrum, just at different points. One person in the comments said reminds me of the Truman Show. I think Zion, you mentioned the theater. Someone mentioned it. This did. I do agree. I think this was the third act was very much like Truman Show. Truman Show's better, but it did like an homage to Truman Show, where like the reality sets in. Except in that case, the world was actually watching him. In this case, it was in his head. You know, so interesting. Still one of the most interesting movies. I feel like even at the end of this year, when we go back to discuss the best movies of the year, Beau Afraid may not be in the best movies of the year. Like it's not going to be Dune or Oppenheimer or Killers of the Flower Moon, but it's gonna be a movie we still discuss. Like, well, I guarantee we're gonna be touching on it. Like, oh yeah, this was a movie though, you know. And let's keep moving on to one more movie I want to review for April, and we'll kind of end it off there. And that's Suzume. That's a new anime movie from name escapes me, but I will search it right now because I know she is big time. Makoto Shinkai. Yeah. So Suzume, Samir, you put us on. I was not originally going to watch the movie. The trailer looked good, but I was just like, I might not have time to watch this one. But you were like, bro, gotta see it. So because of that, I'm going to give you the first chance to review it again. What did you think about Suzume?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, the who directed it? I don't remember. You said his name?
Yeah, Makoto Shinkai.
I mean, the resume is pretty good. They made Your Name and Weathering with You. I thought this was the best out of those three. So Your Name was kind of overrated. I feel like had a giant plot hole. But this was better. I felt like the slice of life parts of this movie were kind of slow. And I liked the action parts, and the soundtrack was crazy the entire time. The sound editing, everything, and the animation was really good. I think this is probably the second best animated movie of the year by the end, since Spider-Verse will probably beat it out. But it was like a million times better than Mario, since it came out around the same time. If you had a choice to watch one or the other, you should watch this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've seen both, but no, unfortunately, we chose Mario first because we were like, got hit it. First of all, we should actually add Mario review too. We didn't talk about Mario either, but
I watched all of Mario on Twitter, like yesterday.
I'm so fine. Suzume, like I'll give my quick thoughts on Suzume. Also, I think it was a very solid movie, very good. Animation went crazy. Voice acting, especially for the main girl, was very good. The other guy, I think he was like a regular guy, and I like very, and maybe because I don't have enough anime experience, but I've noticed that a lot of animes, they don't touch on the concept of love that well. Like they tend to like always leave like this kind of gap, or like they want to like, especially with showing animes, which is mostly I watch, like romance is always put very low in the sense of, you know, fighting to become stronger and X and Y and Z. Well, this one, it really is a romance movie with a little bit of destiny and fate tied into it. So I thought it was a very nice breath of fresh air. I thought the writing was really crisp. I agree there's a lot of slice of life, but that's kind of Shinkai's style from my understanding. There's a lot of like, you know, the food and this and that. Like they have to put that in every single movie to make it like kind of come together in the background, and, you know, showing, you know, Japan and all that fun stuff. So I thought the movie was good. I don't think it's anything to like necessarily cry home about, where it's like I'm not gonna be maybe end of the year saying yes, Suzume, that's gonna be top tier. But I think it was very good. I had a great time. I gave it a 4, which is higher than my scores for both Guardians and Beau is Afraid. So in that sense, it's one of my highest rated movies of the year so far. Of the very limited that I've seen, I still want to see a few movies like Air and so forth. But I thought it was good. Like there's not much to like dissect. The plot lines are pretty clear. The themings are pretty clear. I just think it was just a good time at the movies. So Zian, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think from the score to the animation to the story, I think everything was spot on. I really had no issues with any of it. I agree with Samir a little bit. That's some of like the slice of life stuff. In the middle, though, it was good to like flesh out the character and you create more of like the humanity aspect of it. I think it was dragged on like maybe like 10 minutes longer than it needed to, but it wasn't that big of a deal in my opinion. Although overall it was a very good movie and really had no complaints about it.
Yeah, this is a great comment I want to bring up. I didn't think about all these themes, but the first three I understood. But allegories to the 2013 tsunami disaster. I guess that does make sense when you're thinking about the door and how much like the fear and anxiety of that and the depopulation of the Japanese countryside. That's also interesting too. Good comment. Yeah. Dan, did you give a score in the movie or not?
I actually gave it a 4.5. Yeah.
Oh, not bad. Samir, what did you give it?
I also gave it a 4.5.
Oh, okay. So you guys have better. You guys have better feeling. I give it a 4. But yeah, but that, I don't know much to say. Samir, if you want to add anything else, you could. But there's not much to say from my end.
I don't know. It was pretty good.
All right, then let's move. We have a few more minutes. We can keep cycling because I want to hit this one too. All right, Mario. Let's talk about Super Mario Brothers movie. This movie for me is very well animated. Illumination does go hard with animation. Also, the sound mixing. See, I'm not saying soundtrack. Sound mixing is very strong in this movie. Like they put all the little sounds. Like you really feel like you're watching a Mario game because each of the sounds of the game are literally translated into this movie, just given like the orchestra feel to it. And I thought the characters were mostly in line. I thought like they take liberties with certain characters like Bowser and whatever, but in the end, Bowser is always trying to kidnap Princess Peach. Is this movie gives it a reason, which is like he's in love with her. But and then I thought Donkey Kong was not bad too. I could see a spin. Like this is a movie that, first of all, it made $1 billion. It just crossed $1 billion. It's the first $1 billion movie this year, I think. And it might be one of the few only $1 billion movies this year. And there's a reason for that. It's because Mario is very, very popular, right? There's a new theme park coming out at Universal Studios. This movie is going to spawn many spin-offs, many sequels. So prepare to see a lot of Mario going forward. And I do think if you're trying to create a movie for kids that's going to get everyone excited and be a sequel generator, Illumination is very good at that. They just did it with Minions. They did it with all the Minions. What Minions is a spin-off of the other guy? Despicable Me. Yeah, that whole franchise is billions and billions of dollars. I think we have another hit with Mario. There's so much to tell. There's Yoshi. There's this. There's that. They're gonna do it. So I give it a 3. Yeah, I gave it a 3. So I gave it a 3, and as I reviewed a long time ago, so I don't remember what I gave it. And it's because it's for kids. Number one, like I realize it's a kids movie, and it's not gonna be like an emotional Pixar movie either. It's just gonna be for kids, fun, very much like Minions. Maybe a little better than Minions in my opinion. Minions is even a lower demographic of kids, but it's fine. Nothing great. It's fine. Zion, I know you did not like it, so I'm gonna go to you next and just tell me why you didn't like it. Because remember, it's for kids.
Okay, I get it's for kids, but it was shockingly just boring. Like I found myself closing my eyes and almost knocking out at least during this whole second half of the movie. Like during the middle of the movie, I almost fell asleep. It was pretty boring. I felt like they completely wasted Luigi. He basically wasn't in the movie basically the whole time. He was maybe there 5 minutes, in the beginning and the end. And he was kind of a garbage character. Otherwise, I guess, yeah, it's for kids, but you can that excuse can only pulled so far, because Lion King is also for kids, it's also a generational movie. But I get this. Illumination is known for like very kid-based movies with, like I said, the Minions, and now this, where they are following their model and they know it's very successful. So I have no problem with them doing that. For me, though, it was just very basic and very boring. And they kind of took Bowser to like the Jafar route of like reasoning and like, oh yeah, marry the princess to get the power, or whatever. But even though he just liked her or something, I don't know what the plot was. It was just boring, and it was like I give them a pass because there's not really a story to go off of in the games, So they had to just make something up. So I give them a pass for that. They kind of just made whatever story they had to bring it together narratively because there's no real story, no plot to pull from the games. So other than that, I thought it was fine. So for my score to be 2.5, I thought it was like 50-50 movie, so not great, kind of boring. Good for the kids. So it did what its job was.
I mean, Alec brings up a good point that it's just like it's a good time. You're not expecting much. And Jack Black was pretty good. I thought he was probably the best cast. Like the Peaches song is still fire. I mean, depending on how you see it, Remember,
whoa. Now I've exposed you. What? We were sitting through the whole credit scene, and then you were so pissed afterwards that we wasted our time sitting through the credits just for the song.
Because the song already played in the movie, just continue the more of the song. I was fine with hearing the part of the movie. But the point I was bringing up from his comment was the Zelda movie. I think that's where we're going now. We're going towards the area where
we discussed this, and the problem with that is that Link. My argument is that Link is best when he's a silent protagonist,
but then
which is in most of his best games. You know? And how are they going to handle that in the movie? You know, unless you make Zelda the actual main character and Link is just there. You know.
No, it's going to be a talking Link. Don't worry about it.
He can't be a talking Link.
It's going to be a talking Link.
What makes him cool is that he's a silent guy. You know,
it's not about cool. It's about making money. But Samir, what did you think about Mario? Since you claim you watched it on Twitter, so tell me.
I just watched it on Twitter. Somebody posted it. The whole movie. HD, I was like, yeah. So I watched it. It seemed like a fun time. I like the Easter eggs or whatever. Just the nods to all the game lore, I guess.
I like the Mario Kart part. I like that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, listen, it was all good because the animation was super crisp.
Yeah, it was all animation. The story looked like it was for kids. And there are kids movies, there are animated movies that like transcend that it's just animated for kids, but this was not one of those movies. It just seemed like a fun time. If I went to the theaters, it'd probably be okay. Like I wouldn't mind going to the theaters to watch it, but it's not. It wasn't a great movie.
Listen, this movie was a big L for the animation is cinema crowd, you know, which I'm part of actually. But like some animation is not cinema, unfortunately. But, like I know it's coming from Pinocchio. I mean, Pinocchio was cinema, but this was not. But anyway, Pinocchio, was that for kids? I don't know.
I don't know.
I agree with you on the plot points.
I gave it a 3 at the end.
I gave it a 3 too. Yeah, so that was my score. And then I saw the Super Mario in Japanese. It wasn't a strange translation. I guess a lot of people did say the Japanese version is better. I wouldn't probably disagree. Like I would probably think that's true. It was playing Japanese in our theater. We just didn't just see it. Have to see Chris Pratt's voice, you know.
He was surprisingly all right.
Yeah, he was fine.
All the fear that he was gonna be garbage was like,
it's fine.
I guess it worked out. He was all right.
He just played a guy from the Bronx. That's like that's just where he went when he was a New Yorker. He literally is a New Yorker. He's like, oh yeah, I do plumbing in Brooklyn, Queens. Like, okay, thanks.
Why did they cast him for Garfield?
Now we're talking in crazy territory. I don't know why. maybe he'll be Link next.
You're saying Super Smash movie's coming out soon.
Yeah, see, this is where I was heading towards. I was like, we can head for the Super Smash Bros. Movie. I mean, you don't need to make up the whole roster. You give me Donkey Kong, Yoshi, Link, Mario, Luigi, Bowser. That's good enough.
That's just Mario. This is all the Mario.
Plus the Link people. No, Donkey Kong's kind of his own guy. So you take all the Donkey Kong people, you give him his own movie. He's definitely getting his own movie, by the way. You give him his own movie, so you have his universe, the Mario universe, the Zelda universe, and then just pick another, maybe the Yoshi universe, Kirby. There you go. Now once you have
Kirby,
then you're set. You know, then you have a squad, and then you make Mr. Game and watch the villain and call it a day.
Like crazy, Master Hand is the villain or whatever.
Oh yeah, Master Hand. Yeah. Yeah, so the recent trailers actually, I don't know what recent trailers even came out.
Flash, you're talking about Flash trailer.
Yeah, the Flash trailer. Do we have time to discuss it? Do you want to discuss it? Do you want to hit on it quick?
No joke, I haven't even seen it. I've only seen the couple of clips and screenshots from Twitter, and it didn't look.
I've seen it.
Metroid. Yeah, that's a good point. Forgot that one.
Metroid.
Yeah.
I mean, the Flash trailer. It looked pretty good.
I thought it was good too. I'm gonna be in that link.
Go ahead.
Oh, go.
The CGI was horrendous. Okay, let's be real. CGI was terrible. I mean, it was okay in some of the scenes, but it was really bad in a lot of the scenes. The story, though, it looked pretty good. The international trailer looked even better than the one for United States or whatever. But yeah, it looked okay. It looked like it has potential to be an okay movie.
Yeah, when I saw the trailer, also I was like, you know what? This could be a 4-star movie. It could be. Execution's everything, and I heard Ezra Miller is fantastic as from the first. Remember, they care so little. They open up social reactions for the movie. People saw it at CinemaCon, which we should hit next year, I think. But the people saw it at CinemaCon. They thought it was like one of the best superhero movies ever. Again, that's a hyperbole statement we hear a lot because I mean we're part of Access Media, but like Access Media means like, you know, if you're being wined and dined and shown a movie, I guess you're gonna like it a little bit. But you might like it a little bit. But I'm gonna guess the more realistic reviews are gonna come as the movie goes on. But that's where I'm kind of standing on it. because I didn't even see it, so you have no opinion. Transformers. I saw this trailer. It was fine. Like I thought it was okay.
I don't like Optimus's like redesign. I felt like in the Bumblebee movie they gave him a very good new design, but now this one they changed it up a little bit. Like somebody put a picture of like his face or whatever. It doesn't look as good. I don't know why they chose to change it more when they basically hit a spot-on version of like the classic plus new style, like merged together with Bumblebee movie, and they kind of messed up.
There's some other characters they changed too. Some funny posters. I was laughing at the memes, but I can't.
Oh,
You mean Bumblebee himself?
There's just one guy who was like, he was just like making a funny like face. I was like laughing. But Transformers, like, I think the movie will be fine. But I have to say, there's a lot of revisionist history where everyone on Twitter is like, looks so much better than any of the Michael Bay trailers. I'm like, are you guys kidding? I'm not a big fan of the Michael Bay Transformers movies, but visually, there's a big difference. Like this movie looks like it's like made on a $20 budget. Those movies like $300 million budget movies. They look crazy. Like you know, like visually, you can never say those movies didn't look good, except for maybe the last two. But the first two look absolutely spectacular. This movie does look kind of Play-Doh at times. Not gonna lie, it looks Play-Doh. Like they can't help it. Like now, VFX is becoming so crunched that every movie looks bad. Like I was watching, not watching, but like when you see clips of like old movies like Spider-Man 2 or Lord of the Rings, even Star Wars, Revenge of the Sith, these movies look so much better than the current movies. And you look at the Flash trailer, it looks like rubber, you know, and it's like, what's happening? Either way, that's the whole thing. We have wheel hack be whacked though. Like, I gotta be honest, I'm not like I don't know Transformers lore like that.
Alec, we're sorry, but we're not caught up on the lore like that.
The only characters I know are the characters from the ride.
Isn't Wheelhack the one with the glasses now? They put glasses on him, but before it was pretty good.
Yeah, I know Devastator. Is he gonna be in this?
Bro, as long as Optimus gives like a big speech, that's all that matters.
And then
which one?
There's the Hunger Games prequel. You see that trailer? I saw it. It's like a teaser. It looks okay.
I just saw the pictures.
Looks all right.
I saw a picture. I heard it looked good.
It looks okay. Like it doesn't look bad. I mean, I will say like I'm not the most gigantic fan of Hunger Games, but it looks watchable. Like I'll watch it. I'll show up. You know.
Probably won't.
And then, what else came out? What else came out? There's another trailer that came out too. That was like, oh, this was a trailer that people liked. No.
Think about it. Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you on the Bayverse thing. I think they were talking about the fight scenes, how the fight scenes kind of look better now that they're zoomed out. You can actually see what's happening. I kind of agree with that a little bit.
It looks muddy, yo. It looks muddy.
It looks muddy because it's like super detailed, but it's zoomed out a lot, so you have to see what's going on. But the Bayverse, it's like so you see all the parts of the Transformers moving. You don't actually see the fight. You know what's happening.
You see all the gears and all the different components.
Yeah, that's sick.
But
you put the Linkin Park in the back, you're good.
when they're not fighting, like in the new trailer, I think the CGI looks pretty good on all of them.
Yeah, I guess so. And then there was they had the trailer thinking it was a very short teaser for Godzilla Kong Rise of the New Dynasty. That's the movie called.
They're making it. When is it gonna end?
We're gonna fall in the trap again and say we're excited for it because I am. It looked pretty cool.
It does look good. I don't care.
I'm worried it's gonna be garbage again.
Guess what? I'm not coming in differently. No matter how good it looks, I'm gonna look at it like a Transformers movie, and I'm gonna enjoy it 10 times more. I already know. I'm gonna stop thinking it's gonna be really deep movie. If you look at these movies, first of all, if you look at Godzilla versus Kong as a Transformers movie, it's one of the best movies. The animation, the CGI is so good, and the fights in there are so sick. Of course, it's gonna be good.
It was good, but remember, the big problem with that movie was that every time they focused on any of the humans, aside from the little girl who was like friends with Kong, it was so boring. Kind of wanted to go to sleep. So it's like they got to focus on the right things.
They say the new movie is called Godzilla X Kong, like so they're not fighting each other; they're gonna be teaming up, which is kind of sick. I guess it's kind of it kind of reminds me of like the.
They already teamed up against Mega Godzilla.
Yeah, it reminds me. But that was at the end. They're not friends yet. They're just kind of like it was kind of like BVS.
So it's Batman v Superman down.
Yes, it was kind of like BVS.
So bad.
But I think that the next movie is going to be about like another Kong showing up. I heard or something.
It's kind of dumb.
Or
like
or his son or something.
It's gonna. It just has to be another monster, another kaiju.
No. I heard people were saying, "Oh, why can't it be? They can't fight like Destroya or something like that, right? Like some of these other villains, like from like the old, Golden Age, or like some big moth thing or something, Or I mean, we need Godzilla to be like 1, 2, 3, and then they kick, like 1, 2. That's the old team ups they had, He's like give him a countdown, and then they go flying kick. I want to see those things, but that's not happening. They're gonna go with like some kind of Kong villain is coming,
if they don't focus on the humans too much, even though like I don't know how much you can do with just the monsters, but if they make the humans a little better and don't focus on them too much, I think it has potential.
Yes,
But
it
I
will-
don't think
I'm always gonna fall for it. I'm always gonna say it's good. It's just something about those characters are interesting. It's like something so iconic, like Godzilla.
Yeah, it's not gonna be
and
bad,
Kong.
but it's like, can it be good or will it be mid tier? You know, like that's the back and forth.
I like they built them up. Like Kong has his own movie. Godzilla had two of his own movies. Then they met. Now there's a future movie where they're teaming up. It's kind of like a world's finest movie we never got. You know?
Oh, so what you're saying is that all the people complaining about Batman v Superman rushing things,
No,
now you're suddenly
because they're not rushing. They went the same route, but like just it's kind of like if they made another.
no,
movie.
you're like, oh, I like all the solo movies first.
yeah.
Not also, I think each of them got solo movies admitted. Like you feel for both of them, kind of like you root for both of them, kind of.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah.
New Insidious trailer had you shook. I have not seen it. I'm not a big horror movie buff. I don't know if Samir you've seen it, but I have not.
I have not.
Yeah, no.
Cities, I didn't even know they were making another one.
They are, yeah. It's like a
How many are there?
prequel or something. I don't know. And then Alec brings up we're all Oppenheimer with Barbie. It's true.
For
Personally,
me, Barbie's still winning. I don't know.
we don't know yet. Though.
Maybe when we get closer, I'll decide that it is Barbie. Actually, still.
We'll see at the end of the movie. You know, like I think both are gonna be 4 and above. It's just which one's gonna be 5. That's the question. I think both are worthy of 4 from my.
The real question is which one will fold and move a week earlier?
No one. I think they're not gonna at this point. It's so close. I will say Barbie. This is a funny analogy I'm saying for fun. Like Barbie is like if Cat in the Hat was a good movie. Think about it. Think hard about what I just said.
This thing Cat in the Hat isn't a good movie. That's what you think.
No, Cat in the Hat's fine. Cat in the Hat is like a 10 out of 10 production design and just 0 out of 10 everything else. So this movie's production doesn't remind me of Cat in the Hat, which for some people is bad, but for me it's good. Like I'm like it's not bad. Like the colors and the vibrancy and like the sets.
I agree with that. I agree with that a little bit. I think Cat in the Hat did it a little better. The production.
Depends on now.
The story, the movie. This movie looks better though. Just the production. Cat in the Hat is like top tier.
I mean, I don't know if it's top tier, but it's there.
So you're saying Cat in the Hat is a better showing of anxiety and psychosis versus Beau's Afraid?
There's similarities. There's similarities. But yeah. I think that's all. I think we covered all the trailers, Alec. Maybe missing one, but it's fine. I've done no memory of any trailers that played during Beau's Afraid or Suzume. Like
just the Asteroid City or whatever.
Asteroid City looks.
Oh,
so
Asteroid
good.
City. That looks good.
That looks so great.
Yeah, there you go. Asteroid City. That was the one.
I'll be seated day 1.
Day 1. I'll be there day 2, but I'll be there. All right then. So, what do you guys think of Guardians? Guardians not out yet. What do you guys think of Beau's Afraid, Suzume, any of the movies watched in April? Let us know in the comments below and join the debate from myself, from Zayan, and from Samir. We're the Farooqi Bros, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.